Welcome to today's Research Business Daily Report, where we're going to discuss the contents of the just concluded ARF ReThink Conference here in New York with one of the experts in the industry. And if you know who Bill Harvey is, well, he's sitting right there. RBDR is sponsored today and this week by RFL Communications, the research industry's premier news and inside source. We're, of course, pleased to welcome Bill Harvey. He is a media research true guru. There are other pretenders, but I think Bill is the one who really has the title, and he'll have it for a long time. He's also a very recent winner of the Erwin Ephron Award here from the ARF. I'm interested, Bill, in what you found interesting and illuminating, and most important of all, maybe game-changing here at the three-day conference. So I know you've got a handful of things that you think really made a big impact. Let's start with the first.
Well, the first thing is, what do we do about the new media, the big question? And I've been involved working with the ARF on these ground truth, how advertising works, experiments for months now. And we've pulled together a vast amount of information. And Gail summarized it at the first day of the conference, and it was a big bombshell. One of the things that she said, which totally overturns, 180-degree turn to what everyone's been doing since the new media came along. They've been shifting money out of traditional media, notably television, into digital, mobile, social, and native. And what Gail said is all the findings point at adding budgets for these new media rather than robbing from Peter to pay Paul. And that was not only staggering news, but it was strongly supported later on by a presentation by TiVo Research, which showed that 15 brands, this was sponsored by Turner, A&E, and another big media company, and 15 brands lowered their TV spend, and for every dollar they saved in TV, they lost $3 in sales. 11 of the 15 brands went down. 4 brands actually went up for various reasons, like their competitors cutting TV even more than them, so their share of voice went up. That was, part of the reason why some brands went up.
Was the other research about using as many platforms as you can possibly access? How does that compare in importance to what you just described?
Well, I was going to go there next, because it's just very much the same level of importance. Not as much of a surprise. I remember my first job in the business, gray advertising, Larry Deckinger told me the same thing. Erwin Ephron has written about the same thing. So some of us knew that before, but the general industry didn't know it.
But in those days, you were talking about radio, TV, newspapers, magazines, and stuff.
Yeah, and now radio still kind of makes the list, along with all the new media in terms of these multiple platforms.
Yeah. I asked Gail on our video yesterday about whether there are the tools out there to really be effective and efficient. I guess we're talking about models, so that you can spread the money that you've got across the platforms in an appropriate fashion. Do those really exist?
I wouldn't call them models. They're approaches in order to answer those questions. And the advertisers who know what they're doing, like Heineken, for example, are doing actual controlled experiments. And they test different levels of spend in different media and number of platforms and the creative and so on. A/B testing is really the way to crack the code on the tactics. And how easy is it to do A/B testing, and how cost efficient is it to do that? Well, A/B testing kind of went away, as you know. You could spend $5 million doing matched market testing, and it took 6 months, and people stopped doing it. And my new company, RMT, has now brought it back, working with Charter Communications and other cable operators, where you can test by cable zone. So you can do match testing down at the cable zone level and bring down the costs astronomically to where it costs almost nothing to do that kind of testing, and you can do it very quickly.
Let me throw a curveball at you. One of the big things I hear from people who do advertising research is that one of the real problems with advertising is that the ads don't get tested before they get thrown on the air for the most part. Are we making any progress towards getting over an obstacle like that?
It's insane, isn't it? There are people actually backing away from pre-testing commercials. And now what they're doing is as soon as the commercial airs, they are trying to get the sales data as fast as they can get it. And I think we do need to go back and remember to check that box.
Yeah, and we're talking about saving $10 or $15 or $20,000 when you're already spending $500,000 or $1 million or multi-millions on the ad.
Yeah, well, some pre-testing has been up in the $65,000 range, and the kind of pre-testing you're talking about down in the $20,000 range is where maybe we could get them to do it again.
Yeah, okay. So what else did you find that was particularly interesting here?
Well, one fascinating thing for me was, Symphony Advanced Media is now measuring all of the things Nielsen's about to be measuring with their total audience measurement, the OTT viewing and the streaming and the VOD and the DVR on all of the different screens. And they showed this amazing finding that 18 to 24-year-olds, the top 5 shows on the air are Netflix streaming originals. And even for the rest of the millennials, 25 to 34, there were several of those Netflix streaming originals in the top 10 shows.
And some of these are brand new shows.
They're all brand new shows, yeah. And even for the 35 to 54-year-olds, they found at least 2, as I recall, in the top 10 that were streaming original Netflix shows, which surprised me. I didn't expect Netflix to own the top 5 shows among 18 to 24s.
I know one of the presentations here from Facebook really also got your attention. What was it about that?
Brad Smallwood and Dave Morgan were comparing notes, and they've been doing some interesting work together. Simulmedia is the one company that day in, day out has been proving what TRA said to do years back, which is to do everything on the basis of ROI, do your targeting based against purchasers, then measure the efficacy based on ROI. And I looked at 72 studies that the Simulmedia has done just in the last year, and it's an impressive body of work, and it shows that it can be done. And Brad emphasized a very interesting point, reminded me of direct marketing. His point was, before you start optimizing, look at the list of people that you want to reach. Very much direct marketing thought, and then optimize from there. And of course, Facebook has probably one of the largest lists of people in the world, so it makes sense for him to think that way.
And the ROI way of looking at those campaigns and such, that's really what the How Research Works advertising is suggesting you need to do.
Yeah, the whole point of ground truth is we don't have to settle for interim measures like improved awareness or improved attitude or perceptions. We can go all the way, in fact should and must go all the way to measuring the short and long-term sales effects. Right.
Okay. Bill, thanks. I appreciate your time.
I appreciate yours.
And I like the Johnny Cash look, the man in black.
Thank you very much.
That works very well for you. Okay. That's your Research Business Daily Report. We've been sponsored by RFL Communications, the research industry's premier news and insight source. We ask you to check out rflonline.com to find out about the information that we are producing that you could be really taking advantage of. Again, that's rflonline.com. And I would also suggest you take a look at the toolbox that you'll see in the upper right-hand corner of our homepage. It'll take you to a project that we're doing called the Market Research Toolbox Report. We've talked about it during the rest of the week, so no need to go into it again. We hope you have a good research day and that the rest of your research week goes well. Please enjoy the weekend as the weather continues to get a little bit better, and we'll look forward to seeing you back here with us on Monday.